So good evening, everyone, and I'm so glad that some of you could make it tonight. You know, 2020 has been a very busy and challenging year for many of us for many different reasons, and Family Promise certainly hasn't been any different. But as 2021 came, was starting to come, people were starting to hope again, hopefully seeing an end to this madness. And I was very inspired by the young poet Amanda Gorman that eloquently said, "For there is always light if we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." And so I'm going to have our former president, Ed Letke, say an opening prayer for us that was written by our current vice president, Cheryl Letke, and our VC coordinator for UCC Newington.
Dear God, thank you for being with us tonight as we gather together to celebrate Family Promise. This past year has been a challenge for everyone and everything, yet we know that you were with us as the focus of Family Promise has shifted. Please continue to keep all of our past guests and those we are currently serving in your presence, and also be with our volunteers and staff. Please guide us as we look for ways to do your work. We pray in your name, amen.
Oops, sorry, I was on mute. Now we're going to have Kara Russell come and say a few words.
Hi, everyone. I'm here. I wanted to, I was invited to say a few words about our former president, Ed Letke. I don't remember when I first met Ed. To the best of my recollection, he's always been part of Family Promise of Central Connecticut. I know he likes to tell a story about how reluctant he was for his church to get involved. I think he might have actually vocalized some objections to them being involved in Family Promise, which is pretty ironic, considering the fact that I've never known him to be anything but all in. This was never more true than when he served as vice president during my tenure as president. I have thanked Ed privately for this, but I'm glad to have the chance to thank him publicly for doing a lot of the heavy lifting during some of our toughest challenges. I was in over my head as president of Family Promise, and he knew and understood how to navigate rough waters with the utmost professionalism. In fact, the only thing Ed didn't know and understand was my name. This is a true story. After several years of working alongside one another, he turned to introduce me at our annual walkathon and drew an absolute blank. This is the same man who follows a band called Fuster Pluck, and he never gets that wrong, but Kara stumps him. Ed, I thank you for stepping up and carrying the torch for our affiliate. Thank you for your humility, for your professionalism, for your endless compassion, and above all, for marrying Cheryl, who is indispensable to all of us. I think the board has a gift for you, so I'll turn it back to
Leslie. Thank you. And thanks for bringing out my foibles. I appreciate that. A Family Promise mug.
Yeah.
And some beer, because I might drink a couple of those. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I owed you a round, Ed.
And I appreciate you bringing that over. You're going to come drink it with me? On the porch?
So if you would like to say something, you're welcome to.
I would. It's despite Kara making fun of me, I enjoyed serving with everybody on the board, and it's so great to see so many people on this call. And Family Promise means so much to me in the work that we do. I'm glad that Cheryl is stepping up and being on the board, because it means that I'm not going far away, and not that I plan to do that anyway. I've always been blown away by the people that give of themselves and the amount that they give of themselves to this organization. And so for that reason, I'll always be involved. And thank you so much for the opportunity to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed, so much for your years of service. And I know you won't go away. We know where you live. So as I begin to share with you tonight what's happening at Family Promise, we're going to show you, where we've been in 2020, where we are right now in 2021, but most especially where we plan to go into the future. And we're just so very blessed to come out of, almost end of this pandemic and the struggles and challenges that all of us had, as well as our guests, that we've really come out of this stronger than we ever have. And I'm so proud of all the work that the board has done and the help of so many people to just allow us to continue this wonderful work that we're doing. I feel like we're helping more families, and we have the possibility to help more families than we ever had before in the other shelter program. And we're just so excited to be able to share all of that with you tonight. So thank you so much for coming. And, one of the, I just kind of wanted to go through the year of the pandemic. Ed gave me this wonderful job of being president of this organization, and then the whole thing's shut down. So I was faced with, okay, now what do we do? Congregations were forced to stop doing masses and hosting any guests. But, we met that first challenge with Irwin Homes, who really helped us out, being able to allow us to have our guests be safe at the day center and be able to stay there. Sarah and I get the chance to be on a lot of calls nationally with other affiliates across the country. And that wasn't the case for a lot of them. A lot of them were paying for hotel bills, something that I don't think Family Promise of Central Connecticut could have endured. So allowing Irwin, having Irwin Homes allow us to stay at the day center was just a godsend. It kept everyone safe. Sarah and Nina set up protocols for everyone. It was just a blessing that we were able to do that. And because of all of these things that I'm going to talk to you today about, we were able to try and keep the staff still working in this pandemic. There's so many people laid off now, and it's such a struggle. And we tried very hard to keep even our part-time people at least have some hours, so they got paid just a little bit. So we're very grateful for that. So the next challenge that I had was that our spring fundraiser was going to be canceled. Now, our spring fundraiser is actually it's our biggest fundraiser, but it's also, if you're not aware, it's actually the one fundraiser that pretty much keeps our program running for the year, and it keeps cash in the bank for payroll. So I was really nervous when we got to this stage, and we couldn't have the very nice gala that we had planned, and we didn't really know what was going to happen in terms of what we can do to keep the fundraiser afloat and still viable. And the board and the staff really went to work to find different sources of revenue, and this was probably the most challenging for us, but in the end ended up working out very nicely. So although applying for PPP loan was a challenge, there were several challenges in between when you had to get them in, and there was a lot of deadlines and there was a lot of confusion. But the state of Connecticut really came through for us. We didn't have a problem getting the loan. They were very gracious to give us $16,000 to keep our staff still employed. We even got some money from SBA as well. And so, you know, they've been so supportive of our mission because our mission is so important. We need to be helping these families who were hurt so badly by the pandemic. We also, Sarah, Selena went to work trying to find grants for us. Carlo Mario came, we had a contest and they gave us a grant. Even Family Promise National actually came forward and gave us a grant so that we could, transform what our program was. You know, Family Promise National was also having all of our affiliates were having the same problem, and they really needed to find a way to redefine ourselves, to relook at our programs and see what we could do with this new normal and how we can help as many families as we can. So once we found out that, well, we did the coronavirus fundraiser, it was very successful. So we thank all of you for anyone who helped us with that endeavor. But we really didn't feel a connection with all the churches anymore because we weren't seeing them on a regular basis, and we didn't want to lose those touch points with the congregations. So we came up with this idea to do weekly blasts. And so hopefully you got a chance to be on that email string. We spent a lot of time trying to think of ways that we could engage all of you via email, since we couldn't on a local basis. From the communication, I think Communication Relations, Congregational Relations Committee came up with this idea of Wednesday Good News. So we tried to incorporate that. Thank you, Kara, for that idea. And that's still going strong today. And Nina told me the other day that a lot of people are opening it and reading it. So that's very encouraging. So I encourage you to keep doing that. And it's just such, for me, as president of an organization that never has short of good news, like no matter what it is, every week there's always someone who is sharing things with us and giving us the, things to post on those email blasts. So thank you so much for all of that. Even through this pandemic, the families that were staying at the day center have permanent housing now. It's just unbelievable that they, during this pandemic, they were able to actually get housing of their own, and they still have housing of their own. So, as challenging as this year was, we certainly have a myriad of blessings. We couldn't add new guests though. So as our guests graduated, and with the help, as I said, of Family Promise National, we started to redefine ourselves and see what we could do to not only help people who are close to homeless or homeless, we wanted to still engage the congregations in a different way. Since the volunteer coordinators couldn't be busy working with their churches at Mass and trying to get volunteers, how can we still engage them? How can the congregation still help us out without having guests in their home? And how can they, feel connected to the program and the guests that we serve? And so we spent a lot of time and meetings trying to figure that out. And it's, seeing it drafted from the beginning and not knowing what it's going to turn out to be. I think right now we have a lot to share with you tonight about our new HPP program. Our homelessness prevention program has really flourished in this pandemic environment. We've been able to help so many families not become homeless and to help them through their hard struggles, even without hosting anyone. And so we've reimagined what Family Promise could look like. And so we're so excited that we're going to share some of that with you tonight. In the past, maybe 2 or 3 years, we've slowly seen a decline in our retained earnings. It's difficult to have a small nonprofit. There's so many people needing assistance. Where do you put all of your money? There's so many nonprofits out there. And so even though as our expenses went up we try, you know, getting that revenue stream to be consistent has always been a challenge for us and will always continue to be a challenge, I think. But coming into 2020, we're actually the first year that we were in the black. So we're very proud and very blessed of all the people that came and really donated to the organization. You know, if, you know, Irwin Homes not, you know, allowing our guests to stay at the day center really saved us money because we were already paying that fixed cost. We weren't then paying that fixed cost, but also paying for hotel rooms. So we were able to keep our expenses down. Penny, our former treasurer, really went to great lengths to try and minimize the cost of our insurance because we're not housing anyone anymore, and the cost of the van since we weren't driving it as much. So some of these little costs she would try and get discounts for, and that really helped us kind of gauge our expenses a little bit and keep them down. And so we ended the year honestly stronger financially than we ever been. But I think that the challenge is still there. It will always be there. And we will, but I'm certain that, you know, our constituents will continue to help us because we're helping those families in need. And there's going to be a lot of stories we're going to share with you tonight that just reiterates why there's always people that come and help us and make this program work the way it does. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Cheryl to talk about our next fundraiser.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see all of you. As many of you are aware, we have two major fundraisers with Family Promise. We have our walkathon in the fall and our spring auction / gala that Leslie was already talking about earlier. As you heard from Leslie, our 2020 spring fundraiser was canceled. In the fall, many of you are aware that we turned our walkathon into a virtual event. And based on that virtual event, we are in the process of planning our spring fundraiser. You can see the theme on the screen right now, Reimagine the Possibilities. We're going to be having a concert for those in need on June 5th. Many of the details are still in the process of being worked out, but I can guarantee it will be a wonderfully entertaining evening. So please mark your calendars now, June 5th. Spread that date out to as many people as possible, and stay tuned for the details in the coming months. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our Executive Director, Sarah Schmidt.
Hi, everyone. We're so happy to have all of you on the call with us tonight. So I was going to just share a couple of success story stats. This year, we were able to shelter 12 individuals. So we had 8 children here at the day center, 2 families. We had 2 large families this year. So also due to the pandemic, we didn't have as many families as we typically would. It took us a little bit longer to find housing for 2 larger families. During the year, we were also able to help 3 families with rental assistance. So those families needed additional funds to stay housed, so we were able to help with that. We also helped 12 individuals from the community, so that was in different ways. So we helped with getting them connected with other resources. We helped with clothing, some toys for the children, some learning activities, diapers, things like that. So those were members of the New Britain community that we were able to help who were struggling with the pandemic. And then we also helped 10 additional families through referral only. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our homelessness prevention program. So what we decided to do was we realized we couldn't house families right now at the day center. So we shifted. So what we're doing now is we've partnered and we just added another church this week So we have 9 churches currently we're partnered with, and we have 2 more that are interested in joining us. So we've partnered the 9 congregations with several different families. Some of those families were families that have gone through our program and graduated. And then we also have other families that are living in New Britain or Bristol that had contacted us because they were struggling to maintain their housing. So how we've been able to help them is we've connected some of the families with either one or multiple churches. So we have some families that are larger. So what we've done as an example is we took one larger family and we've connected them with 3 churches. And the churches are rotating each month, and they're helping the family in a variety of ways. So what we've been doing is we've been doing some Zoom calls because we're not able to meet in person. And through the Zoom calls, the volunteer coordinators are able to meet our moms and sometimes the kids and talk about, you know, what are some of the needs, what are the kids like, what do they like to do, try to build that relationship a little bit more. And then we're having the churches help each month. So some of the ways the churches have assisted the families really varies, and it's been really creative. We've had some churches help with craft projects, like even a Valentine's Day craft activity. We've had churches donate grocery gift cards, clothing gift cards. Some of the congregations have done diaper and baby wipes drives. What else? We've had some snacks dropped off. So it's really varied, and it's really been nice because we could tailor the needs to the specific family. In addition, we've also used some of our resources and our connections to help these families as well. So in addition, some of the families have received some of our donations that recently came in through Marshall's. So we got lots of hand sanitizer, face masks for the kids and adults. We've also gotten a really generous donation from Amazon. So we were able to split that, and we're still actually going through it. But we're sharing those donations with the families in our homelessness prevention program. And we're also helping some additional families in the community. And that consists of shampoo, body wash, soaps, detergent, household cleaners. So a lot of those things that are really expensive and do add up for families to buy. And then I also want to say too, several of the churches have helped with very, very generous car repairs. We know our families need to work, and to work, especially in a state like Connecticut, you need reliable transportation. So we've had really generous donations to help with some significant car repairs so our families can travel safely in the car and make sure they have reliable transportation to get to work. So we've gotten some, I feel like, really positive feedback from the families. They've really appreciated everything that's been done. And we're going to continue that work right now. We're happily, you know, we had a nice Zoom call this week. So it was really nice to have another church connected right now. We are continuing also to get calls from people in the community. We're trying to help how we can through donations of food, detergent, grocery cards when we're able to do so. If we can't partner them with a church or they might not meet the criteria for the program, we are trying to help. So we are, again, fielding calls from the community and trying to help and refer families to services that can help them. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nina, who has a video to share. Go ahead, Nina.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So I put together a video to share with you all. I interviewed somebody in the homelessness prevention program, and it also celebrates all of the accomplishments we have been able to do together over the past year. So I'm going to present the video right now. And let me just warn you, the video might have a little lower volume because of the way that I have to share it through my YouTube, and then it goes through here. So you might want to turn up your volume. But once the music starts to fade, turn your volume back down, because when we come back, we're going to be super loud. So I'm going to go ahead and present now.
For Family Promise of Central Connecticut, 2020 started off full of potential and positive energy. We started our weekly good news emails. Our interfaith hospitality network was successfully hosting 8 children and 4 adults who relied on our program for shelter. We held our first State of the Affiliate presentation, and we were wishing upon a star with plans for our gala fundraiser scheduled for the spring. Then COVID-19 forced us and the world to do everything differently. We were brave in the face of change and challenge. With the help of our partners, allies, and collaborators, we adapted. Thanks to our friends at Irwin Homes, we were able to host our guests at the day center. Thanks to the congregations, our supporters, and our incredible crew of volunteers, board members, and staff, Family Promise of Central Connecticut provided hope, help, and light to children and families facing dark times. Despite the darkness that surrounded us, we saw light. We continued to provide good news each and every Wednesday. Our congregations and volunteers proved over and over again that they are dedicated to fighting homelessness, one family at a time. Then, when the guest families we were hosting were housed in apartments to call their own, the Board of Directors of Family Promise of Central CT, with the guidance from the Family Promise National Headquarters, created a new program to focus on keeping families stably housed. In October, we launched our new homelessness prevention program. Currently, the HPP serves 9 families with minor children who are experiencing housing instability or are at risk of homelessness. Here is a participant of the HPP who has graciously allowed us to share her experience.
Hey, I'm KM, and I just want to briefly tell you guys about myself and my son. One thing about me is I am definitely well-rounded. I kind of keep my head above water as much as I can. So my son, he's 6 years old, and he's doing really great in school. I try to, even with everything going on around us, make sure that that aspect of his life is actually on the right path. So that way he doesn't, get unfocused and whatnot. I always try to keep a level mind for him, so that way he doesn't see what our situation that we're going through at the moment is who we are at all times. That's never the case. I try to keep him, happy at all times, make sure that he's on board with everything that's, as far as children and kid friendly. I definitely am a good teacher. I should have been one. He loves to talk. He's very talkative. I wish you guys could meet him. He's very talkative. He likes to have conversation. He's very wise for his age, advanced. He has also, in our little slight dark times, helped us stay uplifted. So I was very thankful for that. I got a chance to get connected with Sarah and Angie, and they have been a big help to me as far as my situation and me slightly almost being homeless and not being able to pay rent as far as being on time. However, things transpired in that time, and I was also able to receive gifts that I wasn't able to purchase on my own throughout Christmas time. Sarah and Angie and the Family Promise program also helped me with that. My son was very thankful and happy for that. Got coloring books. He got a fresh pack of crayons, which he loves. He loves to color. He got brand new sheets of papers that he can draw on and not write on my things. He was just so happy and ecstatic about it, and it was things that he actually loved to play with and do. So it was definitely, I was so grateful. Got some books from Sarah as well to help him do some math. As I told her, he was, rocky with the subtraction, and she sent over some books that we could work with, which was a wonderful thing. My son, he's very outgoing. He likes to play sports, which was also one of the gifts that I've received. I got a couple of little footballs and little basketballs in the bag. It was really cute. Being thankful for the program now as an adult, and me dealing with what I'm dealing with my son, because at my son's age and older than him, I was dealing with a lot. And as a youth, I didn't have these programs. They wasn't offering things like this for us kids, and the help that you guys give with food. And I went struggling without meals and things like that, and just having simple things as plates and stuff. So it makes me emotional because it's a big deal for me, because I know what I didn't have, at my son's age. And I know that for him right now, he's just looking at it like everything is like, yay, I have everything I need and everything I'm asking for. And it's all because of the help of these people. Because I kid you not, I could not have done it. I couldn't. By myself, I knew I was already struggling to keep a roof over our head. So everything that they've given since then has been just a wonderful thought, and great hearts that just definitely are helpful to us. And I would definitely always hope to keep in contact with them, even after, I do get things situated for myself and my son. These people are such great people. I don't know how else to describe these people. Like, I did not have that growing up. Sarah has went above and beyond, and she's the #1 person of this all that did not go a day without making sure me and my son was okay. She wakes up and she thinks of us, and I love that about her, because again, I didn't have that support system as a youth, and it means a lot now, especially what I'm going through, not having even support system now. However, she has always looked out, always. She definitely has a good heart. Angie is very cool. I actually love her soul too. She definitely has a down-to-earth personality. She's helping with whatever as well. She's reached out numerous times as well throughout the day, just to check on my son and myself. Just want to let you guys know that I am grateful, I am thankful, and I have benefited from this. And I am so happy to be a part of this and be able to share with everyone that I am one of the many families that has been helped by all you guys. And I'm definitely here to say my thank you to you guys. And I just want to close it out with saying I'm KM again, and thank you.
Quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just is isn't always just is. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That's the promise to glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? If we merge mercy with might, and might with right, then love becomes our legacy in change our children's birthright. Every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country, our people diverse and beautiful will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade of flame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it, to be it, to be it, to be it. For there is always light if only we're brave enough. Brave enough.
Brave enough.
All right, we're back. I hope you all enjoyed that video. We're going to have the link available for that tomorrow evening. Once we have the recording for this, we'll put it all together so folks can take a look at it and share it with all of your volunteers at your congregations. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it.
Thank you, Nina. That was great. Very inspirational. Just a few updates for you from an operational standpoint before we open it up for Q&A. We've had a lot of changes on our board this year. We had Skip Collins, Steve Latanzia, as well as Ed, end their terms as board of directors, who have really been with the organization for quite a while. And so, you know, we were very grateful for all of the years that they have spent helping Family Promise of Central Connecticut. We were unsure of, you know, what other board members that we could get. And I know in the good news, we've been asking for people to step up. And I'm just so happy that these two new members on the board have come to us. They're so passionate about the program and passionate about getting their hands in there and doing the work we need to do. And so I just want to, you know, just shout out to Jay Williams and Nicole Williams, who are here on the call tonight as new board members. Thank you so much for coming on board. And not only are they just coming on the board, but we've recruited Nicole to be our new treasurer. So she's already being put to work. And Jay is the personnel chair, vice chair, co-chair, sorry, as well as the congregational relations co-chair. So both of them are very active already in their roles, and we couldn't be more happy.
Very happy to be here. Thanks.
Thank you.
And our next bit of news is that Sarah has decided to go back to finish her teaching degree. So she's currently teaching in New Britain schools, and will no longer be our director as of May. But luckily, Nina's not going to be going to California as she had originally planned, and she has accepted the position to be our replacement for Sarah. And she knows the job, she's been doing the job, and we all know her and love her. And so we're happy to have her be part of Family Promise in this type of role, and we look forward to what she can bring to the organization. So I'm going to open it up for any Q&A. So just shout out a question and I'll do my best to answer it for you.
Leslie, I just want to acknowledge Angie, our staff member. She's also on the call. Maybe Angie, if you can like wave hi and say hi to everybody. She's been doing so much. She's been doing a wonderful job with the families, helping with donations, helping families get what they need at the grocery store. And she's just been really wonderful. So she's joining us. I just want everybody to say hi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angie. We're so glad you could help us out. I've heard all good things.
I'm so happy to help. It humbles me more every day to be able to help the families that we have that are in need. Because I was once a family in need, and it feels so good to be on the other side, and I love it. And thank you to Sarah and Nina for being such great role models for me.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I would like to express my thanks to Sarah. She came in and all hell broke loose, so to speak, and she weathered the storm, and she, along with Nina, kept the ship afloat. And the work that you did, Sarah, was outstanding, and we threw you in the fire without knowing what the fire was going to look like. So thank you so much for that. And Nina, we look forward to continuing to work with you. You have done so many things for us, and we know that there's a lot more in store. So on behalf of all the volunteer coordinators and the board, I'm sure I'm speaking for all of them saying, Sarah, thank you. And Nina, we look forward to continued work with you. That's all.
Thank you, and it's been wonderful meeting so many of the volunteer coordinators, and I'm so happy many of you are on tonight. But I'm hoping to still be around and help out.
I'm not letting her go. I'm not letting her go.
We're making sure everything's gonna go smoothly. We don't want to see any of the families suffer with this change. So we're gonna make sure it goes as smoothly as we can. But I've been so amazed by the volunteer coordinators this year, in the middle of the pandemic, calling us, checking in, what do you need, how can we help, really going above and beyond. The families have been so touched, especially with this prevention program, and some of the thoughtfulness of the Christmas gifts, the just because gifts. We got some fresh fruit for one of our really healthy moms who love that, and a nice, beautiful donated bike that I got to walk over to a family tonight to share. So she's gonna do some nice bike riding. So it's just been amazing. You've helped so much, and these families are really able to maintain their housing. So I just want you to know how helpful it has been and how much the families really do appreciate all you're doing.
Yes, thank you so much. And as the pandemic starts to close down, hopefully people will be getting back to work, and hopefully the economy will pick up a little bit. But I still feel that the housing market is going to be struggling for a bit. And it's going to mean that our services are going to be more needed than ever. So we want to be able to provide that service for our families, whether it be the IHN again and people are sheltering with us, or we continue with this HPP program, and we do both. Whatever we can do to help these families in need is the mission of Family Promise from the very beginning, and we would just like to continue that. And so with that, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I hope this was a feel good type hopeful meeting with everyone. And if you ever have any questions about anything, please feel free to call the day center. And the board members are always available at any time that you need anything. And just thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It was so nice to see you guys.
Great. Thank you. Good presentation.
Have a wonderful night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.